Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Moszkowicz show. First of all, let me apologize. There was a little misunderstanding. I announced on Twitter that the 7 p.m. episode was being moved to 10:30. The only thing is my StreamYard didn't catch on to that. So apparently we went live and you just saw nothing. So with a little bit of a delay, please let me announce my super cool guest. I'm a big fan of his. He's one of the best fighters in the world, former UFC heavyweight champion, the second ever actually, or third. I'm going to let him say that. He's a TV personality. He's an actor. He's a very charismatic guy, and I just love him. I think he should be doing stand-up too, but that's just me. Without further ado, Mr. Bas Rutten. Hello, sir.
Ooh, good. Hey, how are you? Stand up. I always wanted to try it, but I know that is nerve-wracking. It's very scary. So that's why I'm kind of hold of. I might do an opening for like Kevin James. He said, I will allow you right away to do it. Just like 5 minutes or 10 minutes, but to do a piece, ooh. Because if nobody laughs, you're going to have a real hard time.
Yeah. Apparently, like all the big ones, they learn through bombing. So it's part of the game, I guess, you know.
Yeah. Scary.
But then again, you know, a lot of your really good friends are stand-up comedians, like Joe Rogan, for example.
Yep.
And is someone like Joe ever? Did he ever try to persuade you to, you know, give it a go, or you know?
No, like Kevin James, he does. You know, he says, because I went on a tour with him. You know, we went from the East Coast to the West Coast and then back by car, and we hit every state on the way over. And that's how he starts. For instance, when he does a new Netflix show, that's how they practice. You know, they go every state. They do a lot of shows. And I said, I go with you. I'll be the security guy just for fun. You know, we're going to have a lot of fun. So, and he told me, he said, listen, if you want to open, I mean, I will let you open. I go, okay, let me think about that. But, you know, it's although I enjoy TV work, but that, because people have no clue, it's, that's tough. So.
Yeah. You're not afraid to get into the ring with some of the most dangerous men in the world. But to get on stage, that's a thing.
Crazy, right? Yeah, it makes no sense at all. And you know what? It was weird. In the beginning, when I was competing, I had more problems doing interviews than fighting. I didn't even want to do interviews. I felt so uncomfortable on camera, you know. I said, no, don't worry about it. I'd rather fight. You know, so weird. And thankfully, you know, you do it more often. It's like fighting. In the beginning, you're completely chaos. You have no clue. And then slowly but surely, you start to put everything together. And that's the same with interviews. You do it a lot, and then, it becomes normal, thankfully, because it wasn't fun in the beginning.
Yeah, it's actually funny. I have a couple of actor friends right here in Holland, and I persuaded some of them to come join me in the kickboxing gym, you know, get kickboxing training. and they actually really can use that for their creative craft, because it's about rhythm, right? Yep. And acting is about rhythm, and fighting is also about rhythm, getting a certain pace, getting into a certain how do you call this, vibe or something. I'm not sure how to say it in English, but yeah.
I think the whole world is one rhythm. Everything is a rhythm. Yeah. You really think about it, you know? And you just have to fit in that certain rhythm that you like, and that's your niche. You know, and the other people, they go higher and lower, and whatever it is. I always think mine is a little bit higher, probably, because it's hyper. But, you know, it's also relaxed. It's always happy, and always, I don't want stress. I want to avoid stress at all costs. You know, like before a fight, I would always, you know, if somebody would come in and he would say, oh, hit his head, hit his shitting head, or whatever, they would say something, I would send him out. I'd say, get out of it. Yeah, we're making jokes and we're relaxing. That's what we're doing in the dressing room before the fight. You know, as soon as emotions start playing a factor, then that's when you start making mistakes.
Yeah, definitely. And you don't want people in your gym who just want to, you know, punch someone in the face, hurt someone. No, not those kind of people. No.
My gym is where there's no profanity, no nothing. Can't wear no shirt. You know, you can't do that. We you know. We're there for the regular people, and there's kids there. And I said, let's be a clean gym. There's no need for profanity. Why would you do profanity? If you really break it down, you go like, it's kind of stupid. So I stopped doing that a long time ago.
Yeah. Well, thank God for that.
Yeah.
So let me kick this off by giving our audience a little bit of a introduction. But I gave it just before you came on stage. I said you were the second ever UFC heavyweight champion of the world, but I thought I might have been mistaken. You could be the third, or you were the second, right?
I believe I was the second. Yeah, I think Coleman would have been maybe the first. But what I'm most proud of, I'm the first European fighter who became UFC champion. So that's I really because you say, oh, you're the first Dutch guy. I said, oh, the first European guy. Oh, yeah. And that's cool because that goes down in history. From now on, the rest, in 2,000 years, to say who was the first European fighter, UFC champion. No, I said it's Bas Rutten. So I think it's a cool stat. That's what always people ask me. They say, don't you wish that you were born now and you can make all that money? I go, no. I had a great life. I feel really good. And right now I'm in the Hall of Fame. It's the Legends Hall of Fame. So they say, the guys who started it, and that group can only grow to a certain number, and that's it, So being part of that, because if this keeps on going, well, that becomes normal. But that first group who started it, it will always be the same people. So I kind of enjoy that.
So yeah, I would say you are the Johan Cruyff of martial arts.
Well, now I don't know about that. Like Cruyff, there's some really good martial artists in Holland, right? So, and that's the host, Peter Ertz, Roman Daggers, you name it, Alistair Overeem, Georg Moszkowicz. There's so many of them. Peter Buys is doing really well right now, Marlos Kuna. I can go on and on and on. I'm going to forget people. Of course, Jermaine. You see, so there's a lot of great fighters that we have in Holland. So
the late Ramon Dekkers, don't forget about that guy.
Yeah, they always said, "Oh, yeah, you're the striker from Holland." I go, dude. Compared to these guys, like the K1 dudes, those are the freaking tough guys. Trust me. Let me be the mixed martial artist.
Yeah, I've met them. Those are some dudes.
Yep.
It's always funny, Of course, my audience today is a audience, and this is why, of course, I've invited you. They are very curious about UFO disclosure. But a big part of them also love sports, martial arts. So I have a nice little segue I can use as a metaphor, for example, for disclosure. I always try to explain to people that even though the Dutch martial artists have, been ruling the martial arts world for decades and decades, they won, I think, nearly all K1 champion heavyweight.
Yes.
They've been doing very well in MMA. It's still a very big part of culture here, sports culture. But then again, the mainstream public is not very accepting of martial arts as a mainstream sport like football or say ice skating. Dutch people like to ice skate too, and that's also something I can use as a metaphor for UAP disclosure. People are not very willing to engage in it for some reason.
Yeah.
But then you are one of the few martial artists who is actually very, very agnostic to the topic, or maybe even believing there could be something more than that. A while ago, I heard GSP talking about it too. Yeah. Very convinced. So for my audience, can you please elaborate a little bit on your thoughts on what is going on right now? I'm not sure if you are aware of the current events. There's a lot going on actually in American politics, but what are your thoughts on this disclosure thing?
For UFOs, I think
sure.
No, because we already talked about it one time a while ago. Glovis de Prets and my manager, and when I was fighting over in Japan, we would fly to from Holland, it's like a 13-hour flight, and on the way back one time we saw a UFO, and we literally it was like really freaky for the people who didn't hear it yet. We opened the windows. It was in the morning. I was waking up, and breakfast was going to be served. And I'm opening up the windows, and my main manager says, "Oh wow, look at these planes! I love these American planes." It was like a United plane came by. It was like a shiny plane. Yeah, that's cool. He says, "Oh man, look at that plane!" And that was very far away. Was one that got up straight Hey, that's not a plane. That's like a rocket or something, you know. And we're looking at each other, and suddenly it goes this, boop, and it hangs still in the air. And I'm talking about a giant thing. I'm talking at least 100 meters, you know, 100 yards for the people, the English people. I'm looking, and I grabbed my camera, and I remember it was still with film. And I opened my camera, I want to make a picture, and it starts rewinding. My film was full. And I go, no, no, no. And then out of the blue, and it was very far away, it suddenly showed, it shot away. Like from 0 to I don't know what kind of speed, but boom, out of our way. And I'm talking about miles away from us. So that speed was crazy. So we ran over to the cockpit, which you still could do at the time because this was like 95 or something, you know, and the door was simply open. And we asked the pilot, and he said, no, there's a military testing base there. And that's why we sometimes see this happening there. I go, dude, there was no way that we have stuff that is that fast, going from 0 to 60. And it was hanging still. But literally this stopped, boom, and then it was gone. And we both saw it. We were freaking out. So, yeah, that made me really believe in UFOs. So, listen, if you don't believe in UFOs, I think you're a complete moron. I mean, look at the you really believe we're the only ones there. Something that's you have an ego problem. That's what I think you have. You know, so yeah, 100% guaranteed. And I always tell the people, I say, just think about this. What we invented in the last 100 years, what in the last 50 years? I mean, the cell phones that came from CDs, and the CDs and suddenly go to record CDs. They went to memory sticks, and like the stuff we went through our age is insane. Now imagine 5,000 years sooner they start developing, and these guys, of course, they can visit us. You know, and that's 5,000 years. There could be people out there 1 million, 1 billion years started before we started. You see, and that's why I'm so interested in it.
Yes, yes. And of course, you know, I've been talking to some of the key figures in this disclosure traject. For example, Mr. Lou Elizondo, who ran the ATIP program for the Pentagon for about a decade. You know, he has been very, very vocal about what, you know, they notice in our earthly skies. They cannot identify it as human, basically.
Yep.
There's this deduction, you know, is it adversary? Is it some technology the Chinese or the Russians have? But, you know, there's all these observables, you know, no propulsion system. Yep. You know, they go through the sound barrier without sonic boom and going way, way faster than we can. Yep. They can stop on a dime and make all kinds of maneuvers we cannot. These things go under seawater. They seem coming through our atmosphere. There's so much going on. The only thing the American DOD or, you know, Mr. Elizondo, former Deputy Secretary of Defense Christopher Mellon, former Senator Harry Reid, those are very, very high-profile politicians and military people who are very vocal. We see something in our skies we cannot explain, and we think it might not even be from Earth. Now, for so many people, this is still so out there, but to me and to you, you know, this is something to really look into. And I was wondering, have you been following the current events? Because there's a lot going on this week.
No, I haven't. And also, I'm like a conspiracy theorist kind of guy, you know, in certain things, you know, not like really going crazy out there. But I think it's also the government knows a lot. And I think they probably already have the technology. There's 100% guarantee they have made contact with these aliens. But I think they won't release it. This is the world problem we have right now. There's cures for diseases, but they don't give them because then they're cured and they can't make money anymore. And that's, I believe, also with the propulsion and with the anti-gravity. Once you can control that, well, there's no more, you don't need more power. Well, they can't sell the gas, they can't sell the oil. So all these there's the big five families, like, they control the world pretty much. We all believe that's the government, but there's some big people out there with a lot of crazy money who started this whole thing a long time ago. And those people, you know, that's gas, that's oil, all the stuff that they can still sell, but they can't do it anymore once it becomes free. I mean, there's so many movies that have been made about you. Keanu Reeves, I believe, a long time ago, when I don't know if it was him actually, they made from water, they could make energy. And of course, then the government right away goes after these people because, hey, there's no more money to be made. So that's my conspiracy theory. So I think that they know 100% guarantee about it.
Yeah, well, when I did my interview with former Senator Harry Reid, when he was still active, he went up to Lockheed Martin, and he wanted access to their compound to see the technology actually.
Yeah.
And he was denied access. And this was he was in Congress. You know, he was Obama's right hand man. He was Clinton's right hand man. They wouldn't allow him access to Lockheed Martin's compound, which is mind blowing to me. And the balls.
We're not controlled by the people we think we are.
Yeah, that was just mind blowing to me that they have the balls to deny a man like Harry Reid access.
Yeah,
you know, this is the government. So
it's bigger than something. It really is. Yeah. It's really scary what goes out there, you know. We don't know, and we don't want to know. And that's why I put all these claps on. That's the same with UFOs. It's scary to people, you know. That's why they put the blinders on. Let's not acknowledge it. No, it's not true. It's not true. It is true. You know, and like I said, you got to be stupid not to think it's not true. It's the dumbest thing ever. There's no way that we're the only ones. There are billions of planets. There's more planets in the universe than there are sand grains on the Earth. And you don't think there's a few Earths in between there? Come on. I mean, come on. It's such an ego thing to think that we're the only ones. You know, we are the center of the universe. No, it's not.
Yeah, no, we're just that special, boss.
Yeah. Especially me.
Yeah. No, what I find very interesting is I totally agree. By the way, on what you're saying, it's kind of stupid to think you're the only one. Also, you know, Mr. Elizondo, but also Professor Avi Loeb, they like to say Galileo in the medieval times, the Catholic Church refused to look through his telescope because it would prove that the Earth is not center of the universe. So they would just have this head in the sand kind of mentality. But I do think that, you know, I'm putting this puzzle together through all these interviews with all these key figures in disclosure. There's some things I've learned, like all secret agencies, right? They do not communicate with each other. All of them have some kind of information somewhere stashed, but they do not communicate with each other. Same thing goes for the political spectrum. But I know for a fact that all these US presidents, they weren't filled in on what the hell was going on. They would hear something like, yeah, there's something penetrating our skies. We don't know what it is. It might be adversary. But they weren't filled in. Now, President Obama came out in the James Corden show of all shows, like a British comedian. And he said, when actually the guy from The Roots, the house band, got to ask him a question, he said, Obama, did you ever, see something about the aliens? And he was like, yeah, I heard about that. Yeah, there's something out there, and we just don't know what it is. And like a week later, Bill Clinton came out, but they don't know anything. They're also deprived of the majority of the information. It's crazy.
They start feeding it slowly but surely. Now it gets open, the files get exposed, this England, I believe, started right now. It's here in America, it's starting. So more and more people can go online and can actually start searching about it. Now we see real footage from the government. People just get used to it, warmed up to it. Because listen, if these people want us dead, we're dead. There's no way a technology that advanced. There's nothing that we can do with all these movies with the aliens. Dude, we're going to lose so big time. It's going to everybody, and that's it. But they don't want that. They're high intelligence. And high intelligence, there's no evil. I don't believe there's evil because they think normal. They think truth. And what's just truth, you go. That's why you see in the movies with the computers, when they let the computer take over, that they want to just Armageddon. They want to cause it because this place, this earth is unsavable, because the people are freaking and crazy. And I think if you have high intelligence, you realize it's only going to be good. You're going to be thinking straight. If you have to kill one person in order to save 1,000, they don't even think about that. They go, poof, that's it, you're dead. So those people can do whatever they want to do, but they're here and they're not violent. I don't believe that.
No, they're not, because they actually they have been messing with our nuclear weapons for about 8 decades.
Oh yeah,
taking them down. And there's a lot of military men who have experienced that. They saw it. There's even a huge Dutch case right here, Soesterberg. You know about it.
You told me, I saw it. Yeah.
12 Dutch military men on a nuclear base, actually. American, not Dutch, but it is in Holland.
In Holland.
But then again, I think if this alien or extraterrestrial life form is visiting us, they are definitely not aggressive, because they could have taken us down decades ago, centuries ago.
Yep.
I think we are the aggressive species here, you know.
Yeah, some people.
And if you think about it, we are just evolving. You know, it was about 50,000 years ago we weren't monkeys anymore. That's like in an evolutionary timeline, we're brand new. And like just 100 years ago, we got all this technology, and we get to live basically in a way we haven't been living for thousands and thousands of years, and now we can do a little bit more. But I've always asked my guest this question: what do you think if, like right now, a UFO lands right here in Amsterdam East Side, an alien comes out of the craft? What do you think humans would do?
Well, they could be very stupid. They could attack it. You know, like Mars Attacks. You know that movie? It's very funny. It's a comedy, but that we will be that stupid. I mean, to attack something that feels, because we feel threatened. I think nowadays, you know, I think people are smart enough because they realize there's so much advanced technology. I mean, the push of the button and we're going to be gone. So hopefully they don't. You know, and but I think people will freak out. A lot of people.
Yeah. But what you just said is exactly what I always say. If the alien gets out here, right here in Amsterdam East Side, he will get punched in the face, robbed of his Nikes and his golden chains, and he's going home. You know, but you know, that's, I think, the go-to human instinct is violence. It's still violence for us, right?
Yep.
You know, if you don't know anything, if it's something unknown to you, people tend to attack it. You know, we do it with our own.
Dogs are afraid they do the same thing, you know. Some dogs do. Like, we have a dog like that. But it's just fear. It's fear-based. Oh, look at the world right now. Fear, 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 fear. That's how you control people also, you know. So you have to watch out you have to really be honest and say, picking out what is real and what is not real. Because they start mixing all that stuff. And then it is better. That is better. This is not better. That is, you know, you go like, okay, let's just step back a little bit. But fear is a really bad emotion, because that's why people do crazy things. I mean, when the COVID started, you had people here, they got stabbed for toilet paper. I mean, somehow people were stocking up toilet paper. What about getting some water and food, maybe? You know, forget about the toilet paper. And people stabbed each other for toilet paper. So you can only imagine what happens if food gets scarce and you're going to have to go after food. I mean, people are going to go die in the street. I mean, it's just sad. And that's just toilet paper. So this next level stuff.
And if you don't have the food, you don't need the toilet paper.
Exactly.
So buy the food first, I guess.
It's a smart thing. So you can use the toilet paper. It's not a waste of money. And money is going to be gone. And once this happens, it's going to be scary. You know, you need the things to trade. We're going to go all the way back. You know, money's
back to basic.
Yep.
And by the way, look, we're back in lockdown now. It's probably going to take a while. How is it over there? Are you guys preparing for a new lockdown, or are you in a lockdown?
I have no clue. I don't. You listen to me. All that stuff. It's like, I talked with virologists and I took people. All these crazy variants, they come from actually the vaccine, because that's the virus, how they figure a new way out to attack it. So they bypass it and boom, there's a new one. In a pandemic, and that's what a lot of smart people will say, not me. They say you'll never do a vaccine right from the get-go. You want to let it tone it out. You do it to the older people and to the people who are obese and, you know, the less healthy people, so to say, because you have to, but all the healthy people, don't touch it, and that will keep on going. Now it will keep on going, and it's never going away. And all the vaccines, and people can say whatever. Well, did it do what they were saying it was going to do? Be honest. It was 96% effective, 98%. No more masks, no more thing. Everything will be open, and nothing is true, and everything went to shit, and now it's under 40%. So you see, but I don't know what to believe anymore, and then people going left, dying left and right. But within 3 days of having the shot, they go, oh, that's a conspiracy. No, these numbers are really there. The people, whistleblowers from the CDC will tell you. So I don't, I'm out of this. I don't even watch TV anymore because political and everything, such a hate. Everybody's bouncing up against each other. I just want to make your own decisions. Let's do that. That's what I'm thinking. But people all think that I'm right and then they're just fighting. And nobody knows who's right. I don't know who's right, but you don't know either. Nobody knows. Whether you're left or right, it doesn't matter. You don't know because it's all a lie out there.
Yeah, and I don't think I give a fuck anymore.
That's it. That's it.
So, yeah, I really don't. I just want to go sit on a terrace and enjoy a glass of a cup of coffee or something. I just want to have a life, an outside life. That's all I care about. Go out with my son, play. Yeah, that's about it. So, Bas, what are you up to, man? Anything cool? We were just talking about, you were visiting the new combat organization.
Triad Combat. It was in a triangle-shaped ring, and the space in there, because I was explaining that yesterday. I had a microphone in my hand, and the opening was much harder to explain to do this. I said, this is for instance. Okay, so first of all, let's go over the rules. It's boxing rules. Back fists are allowed. Flying Superman punches are allowed. Hammer fists are allowed. Believe it or not, they're great for setups. Maybe not for knockout, but it's great for setups. Those are the punches that are allowed. But then there's also a clinch allowed, an active clinch. So you got to punch in the clinch. So for boxers, that's a little different. For the mixed martial arts guy and the kickboxers, they're really comfortable there because they know how to throw people off balance and then throw with the other hand. You see, so if you look at the ring, normally the boxer in a straight boxing match, highest percentage will beat the mixed martial art. It's just a fact. You put him against the mixed martial arts and mixed martial arts, well, they're going to get destroyed. The highest percentage. There's always people who can land a punch before a takedown comes. Yeah. But anyway, if they need space, boxers need space in order to, use their footwork and keep their opponent outside the reach. Well, if you have a triangle like this, the only space they have is the center. Because you do not want to be in the corners because that's the domain, so to say, for the mixed martial artist. So imagine, these are three same sides. This is what they're used to.
Right.
And now suddenly that becomes that little tiny circle. So, having said that, yesterday, it was very hard for them to avoid the clinch. And once a mixed martial artist has a clinch, well, he wants to stay there because he's not going to give you space. He's going to get knocked out. You see? So, and then, of course, a few guys it went wrong with. You were talking about it, Frank Mir. But Pulev lost two fights. The fights he lost was Anthony Johnson and Klitschko. And for the rest, he won everything. And a high knockout rate. And he fights a guy like Frank Mir. I love Frank Mir, but he's not a straight striker. He's more of a ground fighter. And he's a tough guy. I'm not saying anything about that. But against a boxer like that, you need to close the distance because if you give them a little bit of space, a simple 1-2, puff, puff, set the whole thing up. He was literally down on his feet. Like he was just standing there. Something held him up. I don't know what. And thankfully, the referee jumped in at the very end because he could have got hurt really bad.
Yeah, that was a weird knockout. He was like out on his feet. I've never really seen that. Usually people are out on their feet, but they're in the ropes, right? Yeah. He wasn't in the ropes. He was standing.
Yeah, his mind doesn't want to do it, but he was still fighting it, but he wasn't there anymore. That's what I said. I said the light was on, but nobody was home.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it was kind of scary to look at that too, and it was good. Mergliata, he got in between. But what you're saying is so true. Pulev, he's a former heavyweight champion, right?
Oh,
he was, I think,
European for sure, and always been a contender. He fought twice or three times for the world, 2 times for the world title, but that was against Anthony Joshua and Klitschko. So, unfortunately, he lost those. But those are the only ones he lost. So
well, Joshua destroyed him. But that was a weird matchup, man. Like have a guy of Pulev's caliber to fight Frank Mir, who's actually, even for an MMA heavyweight, he wasn't doing very well in his last few fights,
No. But what happened was they apparently had a show before where it was straight boxing, and Frank went 6 rounds with a professional boxer. So then they thought, oh, maybe we can step it up a little bit. I think the step up was a little bit too much. That's what I think.
Yeah, maybe I'd like to see Pulev fight Tyson, though. That would be nice.
Ooh, Tyson, man, it's like I know him, and I've been a bunch of times when he's training and working out. And he's a very scary guy, man. He's so fast, still. He didn't lose his speed. Normally we lose the speed, but not him. And power, you keep that. You know, old man strength, what they say. Well, you keep your power most of the time. You keep, but the speed is what you lose. You saw Holyfield against Vitor Belfort. I mean, that was his shit. I mean, this was his hook. This was the speed. And I'm not even exaggerating. I saw him on the focus mitts before the workout, before the fight, and I thought he played a trick on the people to make Vitor Belfort think that he's really slow. Turns out he wasn't playing a trick. That was his real speed. He shouldn't have been in that fight. That was scary, you know. I feel bad for him.
Yeah.
Destroyed.
I actually felt bad for Roy Jones.
Oh, yeah.
Tyson. Man, he lost his speed too.
But he lost his speed, and the only thing he could was surviving. It was clinching, hanging, clinching, hanging. See, that's the game plan that these guys yesterday did, the mixed martial artists, to the boxers, because that's the way to survive. Because you give Tyson a space like this, that's it.
Yeah,
you know, you're gonna get knocked out.
And I do think Tyson. I think he held back for Roy Jones, because I think he could have taken his head off if he wanted to. Yeah,
it's still an they can't call it a real fight, right? It's still an exhibition match. That's why it goes to the very end, you know. But you know, you trigger him if you hit Tyson hard, I think that's it. You're out, because that automatic reflex will take over. I had this in pro wrestling. It was hilarious. So I'm doing a pro wrestling match at the Tokyo Dome. 60,000 people are there, and I'm fighting this big guy. And you know how it goes. You rehearse the day before what you're going to do. Like, it's all set up, but it's at least they use real techniques, like in mixed martial arts. They're called strong style. So it's not like in America they grab a wrist and you go you know. There it's real techniques, so you can react much easier and you can make it look much better. So the thing was that he was going to throw me in the beginning in the corner, and then he would give me an elbow, and then give me another elbow, and then another elbow, and then he would go up to the audience doing this, and he would drop me with an elbow. So the first elbow was timed well. The second time was a little harder. The third one was a direct hit. Now, I don't know what these guys are talking to each other behind stage. I don't know if he said, hey, I'm going to fight Bas Rutten. Watch, I'm going to freaking elbow him for real in the face. I'm going to do that. So that was also in my head, right? So as soon as I got the third elbow, I go, boom. And he goes, boom. He's out. And the referee is like, and Don Fry is in my corner. He's like, oh, gee, what are we doing now? And the referee walks around him, and then he goes, one. Then he walks around him, two, you know. And then at 8, he started flinching and getting back up. It was hilarious. But you see that what I mean? It's like an automatic reflex comes suddenly in. You get hit, you hurt, and then it's like automatically you come back with a strike. I remember the second time when I fought, they went, oh, please, Mr. Rutten, don't hit me hard. I said, it's very simple. I said, I don't know what you guys are talking about backstage. You hit me hard, I hit you hard back. Because I will never hit you hard. But I will return the favor if you do something to me. And that was it. I never had a problem anymore, so it was good.
It's like I just see you open palm strike that dude right in the mouth.
So hard. And he was a big guy too. So yeah, that was funny. And by the way, pro wrestling for these people, oh, it's fake, dude. I had the most injuries I ever had. Like after the third match, my wife says, why don't you go back to real fighting? You never had these injuries. You know, I mean, these guys fall for real. I was almost doing it for the WWE here, now WWE, at the time WWF. And it was really good money, and I really needed the money. It was early on, but I was here, and I just stopped fighting, and I was doing seminars all over the place in order to make it, you know. And they offered me like a big payday, like a lot. But my daughter was just born, our youngest daughter, and when I thought I was going to be like doing 40 shows. No, 220 shows a year. This is without traveling. So you're going to be 300 days at least on the road every year. And I declined. I say, you know what? I'm not going to do it because I'm not going to see my daughter. And that's something you can never get back. You know, exactly. Like money, I will make my money somehow. We survive now. It will be good. Yes, it's a lot of money. And yes, there's possibilities of making it big. But I thought that was the bigger decision, you know, to just stay and then we'll go on. And thankfully, things started picking up in other areas. So, you know, the Lord took care of it. It was okay.
Good. Just to get back to older fighters getting back into the ring, I think your last fight was the dude with the ponytail and the wrestling gear, right?
Yeah. There was a Warpath. What's his name? He was a guy. Yeah, it was literally his name, Warpath. Ruben Valerial, but his Indian name was Warpath, and he came off a knockout victory over Don Fry. You know, but also I wasn't supposed to fight him. I was supposed to fight Kimo Leopoldo, but he tested positive like 5 days before, a weekday before, for steroids. So they needed to fight another opponent, and thankfully this guy stepped up, because all these guys like Dan Gabbard, all these guys that said they wanted to fight me if they fall out, none of them. So they, you know, when they say, "Oh, you can't fight him," yeah, okay. Oh yeah, with $500,000. You know, they start like going really high. I go, okay, and I said, just give me anybody, you know, whoever wants to fight, I'll take that fight. And thankfully he stepped up, and I got him, because I lost a lot of money in that already. I think I put like $20,000 just in rehab. I mean, I was so injured going into that fight. I just had to fight, because, you know, I invested a lot of money in my rehab. So it was hard, but it was good. The result was okay. It was good. It was the first one. Knockout by low kicks. I never did that before in my life. So now I had a low kick victory. It was good.
Well, that was one of the worst beatings I saw anyone take. It was all low kicks. I did see that, but you know, at some point, like everyone was like, "Oh man, dude, just give up. You know, you're gonna lose the leg. Stop it."
Yeah. You know? But it's it's a one kick. You feel click, and you feel your bone hit his bone, so that means his muscle was relaxed, and that's the one. You know, you click, you feel it, and you go like, "Oh, I got him." You know, and that from that moment on, it went down.
Yeah, I saw a very, very good kickboxing match by a Dutch guy, Levi Richters. He's an up-and-coming heavyweight in Holland. And he was fighting a Slovakian dude. And he was using, for the first time, I think, the calf kick in Holland. Wow. Not the low kick, but the calf kick. Yeah. Very, very effective. Yeah. It's new to me, but very effective.
It works really well. You know, like my stance is not, because I have an open stance. You know, like the Dutch have a little bit more of an open stance, but their toes are still pointing a little bit inside. I'm wide open. I'm like Mike Tyson standing. Because what I did is I looked at who is the hardest puncher in the world, who's the hardest kicker in the world. Okay, Robin Dekkers, and we got Mike Tyson. What do they have in common? And it's upper body rotation. A lot of you see Dekkers throw a kick. First the upper body comes, and then the kick comes. Okay, so that's where it comes from. Same with Tyson, all upper body rotation. 3 hooks, 3 left hooks. It will be, you hear pop, 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 and in slow motion, it will go like boom. He's constantly rotating his entire body. He just found a way to contract his core so really freaking fast. So I go like, okay, I'm going to fight like that. You know, I'm going to stand wide open. So Ramon is still blading a little bit. I didn't do that. I wanted to be wide open. Now, you want to calf kick me, you're going to kick my shin. Because my toes are pointing 45-degree angle to the left. Right. You see, so I'm completely covered there. Now, if he wants to do with inside low kicks, which are less powerful, you know, then I can always switch my stance. So then it becomes my shin bone. You see, so, but that's a nicer way to check. And you have so much more power. Now, the only thing that these trainers are going to say is, yeah, you're an open target. I said, it's so weird, because every single person that fights open, none of them went down to the body. If it's so easy to hit, why is it not working? You know, because your defense, you know you are a wider target. And that's the only thing you give up. But now you got a power left. That's a straight punch. It's almost the same as hard. This was 93% compared to my right. And that was in an orthodox position. I didn't even switch stance when we measured that. You know, now my left kicks are going to be from hell. In the blading situation, you can't generate any power. Now I can use upper body rotation. So there's so many things. I can block easier and right away counter. Can't do that like this. I can check low kicks easier. Everything becomes better. The only thing you give up is you're a wider target. You know, but that's it. Once you overcome that hurdle, you're much more powerful.
Yeah. That is very interesting. But I did see that the calf kick in MMA is getting to be quite an effective weapon. You know, I saw it used. Poirier used it against McGregor very effectively. But that's interesting, because your stance, exactly, when your toes are pointing out, that means your chin is pointing out. Yeah. That means you're gonna hurt yourself. You're gonna hit the bone. You know.
You're like 2 years before the McGregor fight, when they said, "How do you beat McGregor?" And I showed this on Joe. I'm telling this on Joe Rogan, and do it, and then showing it on video also on submission.
Nobody low kicked him.
And I said, low kicks. I said, because his stance is so wide, you know, but you have to switch to southpaw. I said, if I was Aldo's coach, and I hear that McGregor, you go to face McGregor, immediately switch him to southpaw, because then you can start kicking the legs. You know, because right now he stands so low, it's very hard to get an angle on him. And because he's a southpaw, it simply doesn't work. But if you switch to southpaw, there's no way he can avoid those low kicks. So you chop up his leg. You start kicking his thigh, kicking his calves. That's it. And when you immobilize the leg, you're going to win the fight. So that was cool, because once Poirier did that, they put that video up for me explaining it. I go, there you go. You see, but you can tell. Everybody can tell. You just think, you know, what would you do? And there you have the answer.
Definitely. So what is going on with these Dutch guys in MMA, man? I miss them, but all our guys are disappearing. Overeem, of course, he got a bit, you know, he was on the end of his, you know, career. He's in his 40s now, so that's a good move to quit, you know. But also I miss, you know, Struve, Mousasi is gone. Is there a MMA generation coming from our soil, do you think?
I don't know. Like Peter Bas, I saw him, you know, he's doing great at one championship over in Singapore, you know. Okay. So and then I really was a big fan of Gegard, because, you know, he's got equal wins by knockouts and submissions, and I think in mixed martial arts that's what they should have. You know, I think it's cool. And but Peter's going very strong. I don't know. We are just a very striking country, and we just love our kickboxing and Thai boxing, and somehow they don't want to steer away from it. Like what I did is, like, after my last loss against Ken, that was it. I knew that nobody was going to stand with me anyway. So I said, let's forget about striking. Let's only do Thai pads to get stamina 3 times or 4 times a week. That's it. So 4 times only, and then the rest, the other 8 times a week, let's only do ground. Oh, let's do more ground, sometimes 3 times a day. And once I made that switch, dude, so I lost my last fight by submission. The next 8 fights I won by submission. I completely flipped the whole thing out. Yeah, one was a submission control, but the other one's all submissions. You know, and it was just because I put a lot of work in it. I never liked it as well, you know. And suddenly when I started understanding the powers of submissions, dude, I mean, you think the striker is the badass? Any submission guy, not only me, any submission guy can dislocate any joint in your body and break any bone in your body, pretty much. Right. That's a big power to have.
Bas, Bas, is it true that when you were really getting into the submission game, that you would wake up, had a dream about a submission, and then try it on your wife?
Yeah. And then like 6 times. Yeah, my poor wife. And during the day also, I say, I lean over and I will get her in a choke. I say, are you getting dizzy or is this hurting? She said, dizzy. I said, see, it's a blood choke. You know, and I was like, you know, I got my John Blooming. You know John Blooming? How I got my 5th? Of course. He gave me an honorary 5th degree.
Oh, and nice.
The reason was because he was in Japan for a pancreas show. And the day before the pancreas show, we're walking in Japan, and suddenly we hear hybrid wrestling, pancreas, the voice that announces the thing. And we look at it, and there's this giant screen, like a big wall. I mean, giant, not just a big screen, freaking huge, humongous. And the first thing we see is me knocking out my very first opponent. It was a preview for the show next day. And I go, whoa! And all these fighters, you know, we'll see. And there's this guy sitting in half guard, and he grabs a heel, and he goes for an inverted heel hook, which I didn't know what it was at the time. And I look at John, and I go like, oh, that's a cool move. I have to remember that. I told him. So next day I'm in the fight, and I'm in that position, and I go, well, might as well try it. And I did, but since I never did it before, I had no clue how much power I put on his leg. Now, normally you need, but I snapped the shin bone in half. So that was not. It wasn't cool. It was cool that it happened. That's why I got the 5th degree. But for him, it was really bad because he was out for a long time. He had an infection in it. But you see, that's when John Blooming said, okay, yesterday you saw the move for the first time and you said, I would like to try it. And the next day you win the fight. He says, here you go. So that was kind of cool.
That was really cool. And by the way, for the people who don't know John Blooming, he is like the godfather of Dutch martial arts. You know, he brought it to our country in the 60s. Everything what came after that is basically because of that guy.
The highest, I think he's got the 10th degree. I think Masuyama, who started Kyokushin, is 11th. He's the highest gaijin in the world with the highest numbers. Like, I believe it's a 10th degree Kyokushin.
Yeah, there's 3 men. He's one of the 3 wise men.
Yeah, crazy, right?
Yeah, Dutch guy. Huge. He just passed away actually a couple of years ago. But Yeah, so no, that's very, very interesting that John would give you that. You know, that is one of the most important men in the world regarding martial arts. So that's congratulations
Yeah, that
once
was
more.
really cool. Yeah, yeah. I really things like that. You know, you enjoy in life. I was talking about it. They said, "What are one of your highlights in your life?" And I was just talking about it on the way to the airport, and so I was interviewing Shannon Lee, the daughter from Bruce Lee.
Oh
You
yeah,
know, he was the reason. I said, if he were your dad, wouldn't have been there, I wouldn't have been sitting here right now and talking to you. That's
right.
how crazy life can go. You know, you just see a movie, you get bullied, and it inspires you, and suddenly you start training, and you knock a guy out, a bully out, and boom, everything stopped. And from that moment, it started going up. So life can go. Like
Well,
one punch can change your life.
well. Look, your life is like a chain of events that it's so clear if you listen to your story. You know, you were a very sick kid, asthmatic, had a skin condition, got bullied, got into. You saw a Bruce Lee movie you were just talking about. That's why I'm talking about this now. And then started practicing. What was it? Taekwondo, I think.
Taekwondo.
Or yeah, Taekwondo. And you know, basically beat the shit out of all the bullies that ever messed with you. And
Yep.
look where you are now. That's crazy.
It's crazy how it goes. Until this day, they say, "What's your best fight or your most notable fight?" And I go, "That's the notable fight." That was the first time I stepped up for myself, because they would call me the Malatse, the leper. I was the Malatse in school, so I was the leper in school. Hey, boss, watch out! If you don't scratch your ears, that your ears don't fall off. You know, they would always say something like that. And then when I start doing Taekwondo, when I start training with the adults, because somebody took me under the swing, I start doing really well against the adults. Like I start beating some of the adults, not the black belts, but you know, but they were still adults. And then I overheard these guys talking in the dressing room about me. Like, man, this kid is good. I only heard negative stuff at that age, but these guys were certainly talking to good. So I started getting more confident. And then I got in a fight. Shaki was his name. He came over with like 6 guys on a bicycles. You know, everybody rides a bicycle in Holland.
Right.
A leper, something like that again. And this time I shouted something back. And I heard them laugh, and I looked back, and sure enough, they started to chase me. And I go, this is it. I just put my bike on the stand, on the sidewalk. I say, I'm not going to run anymore. Now I'm going to do it. And
Slow motion moment.
slow motion. And one punch, poof, out, knocked out, nose broke. But that was the problem. Police came now because he had to go to the hospital, to the doctor, to set his nose. So then the police came, and then, of course, my mom and dad took me off immediately. But then again, you know, I never told my mom and dad that I was bullied, because my mom had so much work with me, like mummifying me every night, putting me in bandages and creams, and in the middle of the night they would scratch it off because they would itch it, and she had to do it again. So I didn't want to be a big bother. I just never said it, because I'm pretty sure if I would have told him I get bullied every day, my dad would have said, no, he's staying. He's not going to stop doing martial arts.
Now, Bas, I don't think anyone ever asked you this question, but how did you get rid of the skin condition?
You know what, this is fun, because if you I grew out of it. A lot of people do that around their 17, 18 years of age. It starts coming less and less and less. But when you see me fight, you will see at some pictures, you see little spots still here and there. I had spots, and that went completely away within a month when I arrived in America. I think it's the weather. I think the weather is less humid here in California, at least, not in Florida. I never knew it was humid in Holland. You know, and it is not really humid, but if you come from California, you go to Holland, you go like, oh yeah, it's kind of humid now. And I think that weather, the pressure, and the rain a lot, that did something to my skin, because here suddenly it disappeared really fast. It was really weird.
Yeah, I have a little bit of eczema. I've always had it. You know, for example, it's also stress related with me. You know, when I start scratching, I'm probably having a hard time.
Okay.
But you know, when I go into the sea for some reason, it clears right up.
Sea is the best for me too. Anything, muscle aches, whatever. If I go in the pool here, nothing. If I go in the ocean, I always have. If I have a hangover, that's a long time ago. That's literally February, my last birthday in 2020. So because I stopped that stuff also, because once you get older, you go, it's like. Now I walk in an airport. Like this morning, I woke up at 4, and then we're at 6 o'clock at the airport. No problems whatsoever. in the early days, you know, you're walking there freaking hungover, you know. So that's the great thing about stopping that. And but you have to, once you get older, you have to eat a little healthier and doing all that stuff.
Yeah. I might be getting there too.
Yeah.
So I was gonna ask you something. Damn it, I lost it. No. What I was going to ask you is about Mr. Elizondo. Now you've been on Joe lots of times. Even Christopher Mellon had been on Joe. Don't you think someone like Lou should be on Joe Rogan's show to talk about this UAP thing? I think because Joe is also so interested in this topic, but for some reason, this is not happening.
You know, it's very hard. Like I've been people like when fans ask me a lot, and the same question comes back, like talk about addiction or something, you know, some painkiller addiction that I had and how I get off of it, and you know, to see if they want to hear how I did it, how I kicked that, and all that stuff. You know, then sometimes I call Joe, and I'll text him and I say, hey, this is a question I get a lot, and they ask me if you do it. So, but I haven't heard back from him for a while. He is so incredibly busy right now, you know, and he's got. I mean. He doesn't need to go to Obama. Obama will probably come to him. Hey, can I be on the show? That's how it is right now, you know. So he's giant, you know. So it's completely understandable, and I think he will probably be lined up, especially now with Spotify having that new deal. It's a mega freaking deal. They line him up. I mean, that could be a 2-month waiting list, you know, and maybe hopefully it's going to be one of these guys because I do know that he really would enjoy it, and he will ask the right questions as well. He said. Very smart guy.
I know. And Mellon was on Joe. And the thing about Joe is, you know, Joe's going to have on whoever Joe wants on, you know. He doesn't care, you know. Whenever he's interested, you'll be on.
And he does the truth. You know, he just goes the way it is. And if you don't like the truth, well, that's kind of your problem then, because it's the truth, I always say, you know.
Yeah. Did you ever see his... Did you ever see him go to toe with Neil deGrasse Tyson on ET Live or UAP? Oh no. Man, that was, you know, I don't ever really see Joe getting annoyed with someone, and I think him and Neil deGrasse Tyson, you know, had a podcast before. They were buddies, but now you know, Neil you know, was getting on Joe's nerves because, you know, he has this. How do you call this? He has this way about him, you know. It's like where he owns the truth, you know, whenever it comes to science or whatever is going on. And he's so disqualifying of ET Live because, you know, if he doesn't know about it, it's probably not true, right? That's his
problem. A lot of people have pride.
Hubris. Yeah. I guess
that's it. Because if you think you're the man who knows, you don't know shit. I don't know shit. Nobody knows shit. We don't. I mean, compared to what's out there, we don't know anything. Trust me. I mean, it's just like say with spirits and we're flying and everything. Well, if you don't believe in that, I think you're the idiot. I'm sorry. It's 100%. I mean, I've physically been attacked. I physically saw a curtain in front of me flying up against the ceiling. Like, what? Somebody ran through. You know, so I kept running, but there was nobody in the freaking house. You know, and I have some crazy examples of what happened with my daughter up here. I have kids that died. Right. She got visited by 2 boys.
All right. Hold on. Needle scratch moment right now. Okay. You got to tell me the curtain story.
So now, first of all, I've been attacked by a spirit in my home, violent, like very scary. And they say,
poltergeist style.
Huh?
Poltergeist style.
Yeah, like literally in bed, and it would wait till I'm asleep, and I would wake up, and I could look around, but completely my body, it was like they completely laid on me. And people go, sleep paralysis. I say, yeah, but that's when you cannot control. I was completely in control. I see my wife sleeping, but I just couldn't speak. And I just couldn't move. And then it went heavier, and then I would mentally get really, really, really angry, and I would scream, and then fire! It was nuts. And then she goes again. I go, yeah, again. And I would challenge the ghost. I said, come. I said, do this now again, because every time you're waiting till I'm asleep, you know, and I just want you to do it now, you know, so I'm ready. So bring it down to my level, you know, so because if I don't see anything, I can't hit it. But mentally, let's go, you know, whatever it is. And it drove me nuts and so insane. And I'm at the restroom and I'm always sitting down so I don't have to turn on the light in the middle of the night if I have to go to pee. And I saw my wife walking to the kitchen, and I'm going back to bed and my wife is in bed. So I'm the gun, I go through the house. There's nobody in the house. And then one day we came home, and I felt somebody was in the house. It was around 9 o'clock at night. And I told my wife, I said, but the kids, I said, stay outside. I said, get your phone out. Dial 911. Don't hit send yet. I said, because I feel somebody's in the home. And then we were in the home, and I'm trying to explain it in such a way. This is it. So when this way here is an open kitchen, and there's a kitchen here in the back, and this is the dining room. And from the dining room to the kitchen that's here, there's a doorpost. And instead of a door, and then there's a thick curtain hanging in there. So now I thought the person was on this side of the room. So I was walking here. So I started making a lot of noise walking to this side, thinking he will go the opposite way, and then I would take a U-turn and get him. Yeah. And I sprint around the corner, and I come around the corner, and that curtain flies up against the ceiling. Like it didn't move. It flew up against the freaking ceiling. So I just kept sprinting because the person just ran through it. And there was nobody home. And then I challenged it. I literally did an exorcism. I talked to an exorcist later. He says, yeah, only you, boss. That's great. You shouldn't have done it. But hey, I got so fed up with it that I just was at a spot in the middle of the night where it was always cold and it was always a weird smell. It was under the chandelier, which was in the dining room area. It was always there. And then later on, we found out there was a woman who passed away there. And I know it was a woman. She was, and the kids saw her, and they know what to describe her. And she was, well, what happened at the time, I was a heavy drinker. And although I'm always happier drunk, you know, I'm dancing with the kids, I'm still not a father. I mean, I'm still an idiot because I'm drinking. And I think that she said, hey, asshole, wake up, you know, be a man. Stop this drinking thing. I think that's what happened. Anyway, I challenged it. It's like for 45 minutes in the middle of the night at 3 o'clock. I don't know why, but I was standing there and doing it. And after that, it was over. We moved to a new house. We come in this house. And my daughter's sleeping upstairs. And we come the first night. I say, how was everybody's first night? And my daughter goes, oh, it was nice. I had a visit, though, from 2 boys. And I go, whoa, back up. I say, spirits. And she goes, yeah. I go, whoa, you're not freaking out? Because she says, no, they were very nice. She said, one kept playing and pushing on the bed. And I said, hey, listen, I want to go to sleep. Could you please stop? And then they were very respectful and they stopped. And I fell asleep. And I'm looking at my wife. I go like, what the heck? I go downstairs. I type in my computer if something ever happened on the closed area. And there's a link popping up, the first one. I click on it. Dude, 4 kids on the road right here next to my house on New Year's Eve to Christmas 2001.
Stop it.
3 boys and a girl drove through our wall. I'm going outside. I see where my whole wall is replaced. 2 of them died, 2 boys. And I asked her, how old? 16, 17. 2 boys died, 16 and 17 years old. So I was like, okay, now I know 100% there's something out there. That's why I got actually back into the faith, because I got like, oh shit, if that evil is out there, then good is there as well. You know, and there's way more going on. Like DMT. Did you ever do DMT?
Well, I want to.
Oh, dude. It's a freaking... Listen, you can be an atheist. You do DMT. There's a lot of atheists on Joe Rogan go, and they go like, okay, I go. It's okay. Yeah. There's something there. 100%. Because you shoot away from Earth. You're literally connected to a parallel universe. This is Harvard professors telling you. I mean, it's a freaking trip, man. It's like 4 minutes only, but it feels like you're gone for 45 minutes.
Yeah, that's what's really appealing. That's what really. Yeah, but that's what's really appealing to me. It's not like LSD where you trip for hours and hours and hours. It's just
they're real. They all see the same stuff. My first experience was like, what? You know, it's crazy. So it's a trip. And that's why I want to do the ayahuasca now, because ayahuasca is DMT, only you can digest it. And that means instead of 4 minutes, it's going to be 3 hours. So now you're going to have all the time in the world. And the stories you hear and what it does for people with PTSD and you know, and they completely come back. I mean, it's doing a lot of good right now in the medical world. But boy, it's like when you smoke it, that's DMT, you smoke it, and then the whole world comes. Ik weet niet hoe dat heet meer, I don't know what it's called, a kaleidoscope. You know, the thing that you turn with all the...
Kaleidoscope, yeah.
Kaleidoscope in Nederlands, okay, good.
Yeah.
And the whole world becomes like that. And it's really weird. And then you close your eyes, and as soon as you close them, it's like you literally open them up in a complete different realm, world. I don't know what it is. You know, it's like, whoa. Yeah. And then you have this feeling. And I realized it was love. Literally, it's love that you feel, but it's so much that you don't want it. You try to fight it. And then I go, dude, don't fight it. Don't fight it. Just let it go. Let it go. And it's very scary because it's too much. It's really weird to explain. And then it was
very overwhelming.
Oh man. And then, I shot away. I wanted to, but my mission was to talk to God. So I shot away from Earth. I see the Earth getting smaller. And I go, whoa, 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 whoa. When I'm in space, I go, whoa, I'm literally doing, okay, let's fly. And I start flying. And I go, let's see if I can warp speed. I go, what? And then suddenly I stopped and everything became big. And it was this giant wormhole. Grand Canyon style, giant thing. And I saw buses go in and trains and really weird trees. And something tells me I had to go in there. So I'm flying over to dive in the wormhole. But somebody was in the room because we were 6 people we had a shaman doing it for us, and somebody touched me. And this is one of those drugs, you don't feel anything physically, it's completely in the head. But if somebody touches you, you snap out of it. You open your eyes, you're out of it.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, you could disconnect. So I tried to go back and I couldn't. So I came home and I said, let's Google about it. And that's where I found out you're connected to a parallel universe. Harvard professor saying it. I click on the link. There's Earth. There's a parallel universe. A freaking wormhole in the middle, dude. I was like, whoa. Yeah. So, yeah, it's cool.
Yeah, this is so connected to I think UAP too, but that's another discussion.
Yeah, I think so.
I wanted to talk to you about your ghost story, because do you see these over here?
Yeah.
The old boxing gloves.
Oh, the boxing gloves. I was looking at the picture next to it. Yeah, those boxing gloves. Okay.
Yeah. I got to tell you, here's my ghost story. Yeah. So my grandfather gave me these when I was 5 years old, right? And I've told the story before, so the people in the chat probably know about it. But so this is what happened. A couple of years ago, a dude wrote a biography about my grandfather, Max Moszkowicz Sr. He was a very famous lawyer in my country. And he is a Holocaust survivor. He survived Auschwitz death camp for 3 years. Lost his whole family. So 2 or 3 years, we find out actually how he survived the death camps. Turns out he boxed Nazis. Of course, it was mandatory for him to lose the damn fight and get beat up. But he had to box Nazis for a little bit more food or drink or some warm clothing. That's how he did it. He was a teenager, was 16 years old. So, and I knew he was an amateur boxer. I did know that. Now, to go back to the story, when I was about 16 years old, we moved from the south of the Netherlands. I'm from Limburg to the north because my dad started living at a new company in the north, right? So I had to go to school in the north. But I had a little bit of a problem. I was kicked out of about 2 or 3 schools in the south. And this was basically a last chance school kind of thing. And the first thing that happens when I go to the school is they make fun of my accent.
Of course, yeah. The soft G, right? Yeah.
The soft G, and they were like, "Oh yeah, you're a spare Belgian guy," the same joke. Yeah. So they gave me a lot of shit about that. But I was so frustrated because some of these dudes, they were really on me, and I couldn't do anything because I couldn't afford to get kicked out of another high school, right? Because it was basically the last shot, to finish high school.
Yeah.
So I remember being in my room reading a comic and being so frustrated. I didn't even really read the comic. I was just in my mind and like rehearsing. When you're really angry and you had a bad negative experience with someone and you think about, I should have punched him or I should have said this. And, it's like you're working yourself up.
Yep.
And I had these like above my door in my room. And look, out of the blue, these boxing gloves go like this. And I'm like,
holy shit. Yeah.
Yeah. No window was open. Door wasn't open.
That's what they said with me too. Oh, is a window open? Yeah, it's a Category 4 hurricane going on outside. No,
not at all. But then again, I wasn't scared at all. Because I went to school the next day, and one of the kids that was like messing with me, I kicked his ass
There you go.
and got away with it. And they I didn't got kicked out of school, and and they left me alone, right? There wasn't a problem anymore. So I do think, in hindsight, I just told you my grandfather was the only survivor, but up until almost liberation of the camps, his father survived along with him, but just days before liberation, they murdered him.
Oh, wow.
I'd like to think that was my great grandfather giving that, like, stop being a pussy, Max. And
well, that's almost like Life is Beautiful, that movie, that are finally free, but then the father, they kill him. Wow, man, that's powerful. And you know what? You're so right. Like, I mean, if you see this happening in front of you, if I look back on it, I should have been freaking out, but you don't. It's like, you know it. It like whoop, and I go and I run. I go like, and it's not like, oh my shit, oh, you know what happened? You know what? There's absolutely not like that. I go like, wow, that was it. Yeah. It's like it's normal, you see. So we are connected, and we know it is there. We just put the blinders up again, and that's what I say with the DMT. This is the same with mushrooms. You take mushrooms, we have our mind is fogged, and your brain is doing that because a lot of stuff that you see is unnecessary stuff. So if you pass every day, you pass 1,000 people standing there on the right. Like in the beginning, you will see these people, and it becomes a blog. Because your brain, and if something happens, it's not important. Let's focus on other things. That's how it goes. If you take mushrooms, and I'm not talking about mushrooms so you start seeing things. I never did that. I take 1 gram or 1 stem, and that is microdosing. And then you see everything becoming very sharp and very full colors. And now you go at a place and there's 5,000 people, and my daughters are somewhere in there. I go, oh, okay, there's Sabina, boom, there's Bianca. You see immediately every single person. That's why the military, they know for PTSD, they're really experimenting with that as well. That I really enjoy. I think, and that's like DMT also. DMT you take off to somewhere else though, but, and like I said, mushrooms, I never want to. I'm so crazy in my mind already. My ADHD. I'm going to have like worms growing out, and I'm going to stab them with a knife. I don't want to. No. Too creative. I don't have the cojones to do it.
No, I get it. Well, it's very interesting. By the way, what you told me about the sleep paralysis, I had that too for a year solid. But the difference between you and me is couldn't breathe.
Yeah.
I was suffocating, couldn't breathe at all. And I was aware of everything in the room. I saw shapes, right? I saw something was there, like an elephant sitting on my back or my chest.
Your chest, yeah. And but what happens is this. That's why you can't breathe. Like I've invented this lung training device. We talked about it in the past. It's doing really great now. Pulmonologists are buying it. It's doing incredible things. Clear for my asthma. Other people, stamina is going through the roof. But now I realize is that if you can expand your chest, you cannot breathe. Your lungs are just 2 bags. They don't do anything. There's not a muscle in the lung. So people say, oh, your chest gets wide because you fill it up with air. No, it's the other way around. Your chest expands, and that's how you pull the air in. Right. So your diaphragm, you have in the center of the ring, there's a diaphragm. That's a thin muscle. It hangs like down, and it expands like this. But look, if you see it from the front, it gets wide. It's like a frisbee. It gets wide. And that together with the intercostal muscles, the muscles in between your rib cage, those are expanding your chest. I literally want to fight, and I didn't know the mechanics of this, but I would simply stop the guy from breathing. Well, not really from breathing, but what happens is that you can hold that move for as long as you can hold your breath. If he just took a deep breath in, he can hold it for as long as he can hold his breath. As soon as he exhales, he cannot expand anymore, so he can't inhale anymore. He has to tap. And it was a very weird move, and a lot of pro fighters are using it right now. But that's because you can expand your chest. So there is a weight on your chest. And because you can expand, you cannot breathe. It's like exactly what you said. It's like you almost cannot talk. You want to talk, but because there's no air. If you have no air, you can't talk. And then only getting super aggressive, right? To get out of it.
Oh, my God. Yeah, it's like the worst feeling, but it wasn't even that I was getting aggressive. It was like literally survival mode, fighting for my goddamn life. I wasn't able to breathe, And whenever I released myself, that's the way I see it. I would like gasp for air, like that. It was horrible.
Yeah.
Horrible.
I was working with the Rocket, as a football player here. We did some event, and he had that when he was 6 years old or 7 years old, and over again. And he went to his grandmother, and his grandmother says, "Oh, if it happens, just tell Jesus that you need help." And he said, "Bas, it was the freaking craziest thing ever." It stopped immediately. Let's go to Jesus. Go, oh, I go, whoa. Big power, man. There's something out there. We're all looking for it, and hopefully everybody's going to do it and live a better life, right?
Yeah,
Why not be happy?
By the way, before I say goodbye, there is this film on your website, basrutten.com, where you actually find your way to to religion again, right? You're a born Catholic, but now basically you, how do you call it?
Then got back into it. I was already baptized, so it's not like I'm born again. So, you know,
but let's say you reanimated your Catholic roots.
Yeah.
But I think your story is very, very interesting. How this starts speaking to you, you know, whenever you, because I'm kind of, looking for my path. But you know, I've watched that film of yours a couple of times actually. It's really fascinating to me. Was there a point where you decided, you know, you wanted to connect to whatever your creator or your the energy surrounding you?
No, what was the attacks. I knew there was something out there. 100% guarantee. I was 100% convinced now. I always knew there was something, but you know, you try to muffle it away. But since the attacks and since whatever, the curtain flying and my daughter, and you know, okay, I know it's real now. Now, then the big hurdle is, of course, when you say you're Catholic, that's like we are programmed to go, our immediate reaction is pedophiles, we're going to say. And that's a funny thing because, you know, it helps every religion, and every religion is bad, but it's not what the religion is. You know, it's not what Jesus said. Jesus actually talks about it. He says, you do one of these things to a little one, it's better for you to tie a millstone around your head and throw yourself in the ocean, because otherwise you're going to go eternal fire. You know, so it's very much against it. There's bad people. That's what bad people do. And before you judge a point, go to your own religion and Google about it. And then you're going to find out actually the Catholic Church has the least amount. And that is crazy but I think there's a reason they constantly get attacked, but I'm keeping that for myself. But that's why they do, because it's one religion and it's never changed. You know, all the other ones are sprouts off. Started with Martin Luther King, 5 of them became 34,000 suddenly. See, so but that's my thing, and I don't care about anything else. You know, Jesus in my life, it's a great life. So there was one when I was a kid. I forgot a lot because I took an enormous amount of medication. I was taking 45 pills a day. I remember because it's 3 times 15 pills a day. There was a lot of cortisone, a lot of crap, a lot of shit, and I would. Whatever I would read in the morning, I would forget in the evening. So when I had to from the middelbare school to have to go to I don't even know the name anymore. You go to the MAVO. Anyway, the test was so bad I had to go to the ITO, which is the lowest school there was. And then they found out it was the medication. So they stopped me from taking the medication, and they let me do the 1 year over. Now it was Athenaeum. It was a complete difference. We said, no, let's do half. Let's go to the marble, you know, because otherwise it's like too crazy. But anyway, so I don't remember a lot of what happened to me. And, you know, maybe also because of the bullying, I blocked a lot out. But there was one thing that really stuck with me. And I can smell it. I can do anything. And I know exactly where I was, in what room I was in school, what table I was, and what room if they bring me to that place, I can point out the tree that I was looking at. I was literally looking at a tree. And I know that the class tried to get contact with me because I heard him laugh, and the teacher was, Bas, and suddenly he screams, Bas. I go, what? He goes, what are you doing? I said, I'm looking at that tree. He goes, what about that tree? He said, how did the tree get there? And he goes, yeah, they planted it there, idiot. And I go, yeah, I understand that. But, you know, the tree before. And if you go back, all the way back, where do trees come from? And he just looked at me like I was a crazy guy. But anyway, so many years later, I'm at an event somewhere, and a friend of mine says, hey, I got a speaker coming. And I didn't even know this guy was a theologian. And he says, he's a very smart guy. You know, maybe you should sit down and listen in on this thing. I say, sure. So I'm sitting in, because sitting outside, we're in a cabana. It's summer. There's a pool. I can smoke a cigar, drink a Coke. Hey, everybody's, you know, we're listening. And the first thing the guy says, he says, okay, the leaf fell from the tree. He says, so that leaf just reached its end destination, he said. He says, so let's go backtrack the leaf. And he goes to the branch, and he goes to the tree before, and he goes to the tree before, and he starts going back. And I'm sitting there, and I go like, I know this story. I know why do what a thing. And then I realized, oh, that was that. So, but when he started going back and the way he did it, if you listen to that, you go like, okay. And that was, we're creation. That's it. This is creation here. Now, at the early days, in the early stages, I always thought that we were put here by ourselves from the future. You know, so they find a new Earth, and we're flying in the future, we're flying back, and boom, boom, and we plant them here. That's what I thought. So for me to make the step to that, from that to a creator, that was a really small step to make. But it's intelligence. You know, like the people who say, oh, we came from one cell, that's complete. I mean, you're an idiot if you will believe that. You know, that's what I say to these guys. And now, actually, they don't say it's one cell anymore. But if it is one cell, you got to admit there's one very intelligent cell there. If all their life came from it, you see, and then intelligence, we're back to God or to a creator. You know, and once you have that, and then you start really going into the principles of Catholicism, not what the people think, and pedophile priest and the church is bad. And these are bad people. It happens everywhere. You have bad people in your family, have bad people in your family. Do you know that 5%, 1 in 20 of the people, this is very scary, I'm going to say, is a pedophile?
1 in 20 people.
1 in 20. So you've got 20 people in your family, chances are really high you got one. Oh, but not my family. Okay, maybe not, but maybe you got 2. You see what I mean? And so before you start pointing and doing, and you have a killer maybe there, maybe you have a drug addict, it doesn't mean that you're bad. You know, it's not you. It's just bad people or confused people. If it's a disease like drugs or something, you see. And once I start seeing these things and seeing the truth, and I know how to deal with it, and you go back to it. And I'm very blessed because I'm with people who are very smart in that. You know, when you like psychology, everything that comes straight out of the Bible, how they fix this still this day. You know, so how to control your senses and how to, you know, the cogitative power senses up to the intellect and the intellect to the will. And once you start understanding all that, how your brain works, you can stop a lot of bad things just even before it starts happening. And I just started doing it. And then suddenly and I never been a bad person. I never killed anybody. I never hurt somebody who didn't deserve it, you know. So I never been a bad guy. Never stole from friends. I never did that. You see, but I've been crazy. I've been at supermarkets. We were plundering them, you know, at middle of the night. I mean, burglaries. I got caught for 152 burglaries when I was 17 or 16. You see, I did a lot of stuff like that, selling drugs, you know, to make money, to get drugs, to your own drugs, women, boom, all that stuff, you know. But later you get older and you start thinking about it and you go, you know, what did it give me? You know, all the things that people say and people do, you know, now I'm thinking. And now, for instance, if you want to say something bad about somebody, but you didn't hear the whole deal yet, you shouldn't say anything. You know, a line that I use a lot is, before you want to take any action or any, like it's saying or doing, whatever it is, just ask yourself, is this going to make me mentally stronger or smarter? Right. And officially, what I think is going to bring me closer to God. That should be the first one. But there's a lot of people out there who don't believe it, so take the first 2. This is going to make what you're about to do mentally stronger or smarter. And if the answer is no, don't do it. There's no need to do it. Oh, but he said, but that's not going to do anything, the words that you're throwing out there. Maybe it's going to only cause some trouble. So why would you do it? You see, and once you start thinking like that, life becomes much easier. I mean, they saw the changes in my house and my kids, even everybody. So I was like, dude, you're so different. No more profanity. I stopped doing that 7 years ago, as soon as when I got back, you know. So I just feel better. I feel nicer, you know. He'll battle because people, you know, Catholics, that's the first thing they say. You know that I was growing 20,000 people a month on my Facebook page for years. So went up, and as soon as I came out with that story, completely stopped for like a year and a half.
Really?
As soon as I said that I cleaned up my life and I want to be a better person, that's when people stopped following me. Completely. Like not even one. You know, it was wild.
That's wild because I think I saw that film on Facebook. and it had a big impact on me because it was amazing to me that you told that story because, of course, you know, you're a very eccentric dude and a fighter.
No, trust me, Max. I was far away from it. I mean, I've been crazy. That's why you would never see me. Oh, this guy was drunk and he was doing that. I go, you will never hear me judge about that. I've been that guy. You've been that guy. We've been there. You know, there's no need to do that. I mean, but you learn from your mistakes, hopefully, and that's what I did. I just started learning from my mistakes, and then, you know, now I'm here. You know, I think it made me a better person. So
yeah, definitely.
It works for me.
It's funny, yeah. I'm kind of on the. I'm heading towards what you already did, but to me it was more like I started studying Kabbalah a little bit for my own culture, you know, Jewish mysticism.
Yeah.
And there was
very close to Catholicism, actually. You guys always have the same book. You have 7 books out, but the rest is the same. The Quran.
Yeah, First Testament, same thing.
Yeah.
So basically, Kabbalah is Jewish mysticism, but there's a symbol in Kabbalah. It's called the Tree of Life, right?
Yep.
And what is so interesting to me is the symbolism about what you see above ground is the tree and its branches, and that's what you see. But what you can't see with the naked eye is what's underground, and that's your roots. And those roots might be roots you're not even aware of. It could be your ancestors, where they were from. You're a man. You grew up in this a certain location in a part of the world. You got bullied. You had a certain every branch, and then also those branches are connected to everything, right? To every person, every part of nature, every animal, the skies, the sea. It's all connected. That's what's so interesting.
That's it.
Yeah,
100%, and that's why it's a design. You know, I used to always I was on the show. What's this? He's on my XM radio. He's an ex-skateboarder. The name will pop up in a bit, but he's an atheist, and you know he's crazy out there. And he was doing a show, and I was waiting in the room to go into the studio, and he was talking. No. It will come up in a bit. Brian, something. But anyway. They were talking about a church. It was built next a nightclub was built next to a church, and everybody was peeing against the church, and the corrosion was there. And I go, oh, that's my way in, right? So I'm walking in there, and they go like, man, they can't do that against the church. He goes, whoa, you believe? I go, yeah. He says, well, why would you believe? I go, okay, let me give you an example. I said, for the sake of this argument, just go with the. I said, imagine we go to Mars for the first time, and these astronauts are walking on Mars. And suddenly they bounce into something. And what it is, it's a clothespin. You know? Where you can hang clothes up with. Clothespin.
Right.
It lays on the ground. Do you think that they will grab that thing and they go, hey, look at this. I squeeze it. And imagine they don't know what it is. I mean, we're astronauts, but let's imagine we don't know what a clothespin is. They go like, that's a funny thing. Look, I can put it on my finger and it stays there. I can put things in between. Hey, maybe I can dry some clothes with it. Whatever it is, right? Just for fun. Would you believe that these guys are going to say, okay, you know, over billions of years, there was a tree somewhere, you wood pavement, and it started storming, blah, 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 blah. 2 identical symmetrical pieces of wood fell next to each other. And then a boil of iron started, but it got heated up when something happened with the sun. And we're talking about millions and billions of years, and it starts coiling up, and it suddenly coiled up in between, and it clicked in there in between these 2 little pieces, and now you have this thing. Or do you think, hey, somebody put that there? So he goes, yeah, somebody put it there. I go, that's 3 pieces. Irreducible complexity. That means one of these 3 pieces is missing, it won't work. I said, let's talk about the human eye. 2 million pieces. 10,000 of them need to work, all of them, because otherwise the eye is off. I'm not even talking about DNA. I mean, that's endless. The connections in your mind are more than you have stars in the galaxy. Think about it. The 3 pieces is the design you said, but this is not. No, that's how I got in his head. And he goes, yeah, when you say it like that, you know, so you so these are fun things.
He didn't sleep that night. He was like, what the fuck?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. But you know, just make people think, you know. Do whatever.
Yeah. On that note, my favorite fighter ever in the world, Champ, thank you very much for being my guest once more. And, well, you know, open invitation, welcome anytime. And I hope my viewers enjoyed your amazing stories and your enthusiasm for UAP.
I hope so. But a bunch of guys are going to go, this guy's completely crazy, and that's okay. Don't worry about it.
They're on the right channel.
Exactly.
Okay.
All right, brother. I'm going to eat.
Thank you, my audience. Thank you guys for watching, and until next time. Bye, champ.
Us.